Let's tweet that. Oh, look at that. We're live. We're live.
Live.
You know the deal at this point. We'll talk for a little while everyone kind of makes their way in. But if you're watching on a replay, guys, whether you're watching on the replay on Twitch or YouTube, you get to always see this in full. You know, you're dipping in, and when it's live, I know people have lives to live, so you get to see this bit in full. But me and Mag's been talking for like 5-10 minutes, something like that. How's things, Mags? We were talking about how life is just kind of moving so fast.
Yeah, I've been so busy these last few days. What with all the wrestling and then the Euros and UFC. My next few weeks are mapped out pretty much to the minute. Every single second of free time is took up with either podcasting or guesting on podcasts or researching for podcasts. Yeah, it's mental.
Yeah, it's I don't do as much as I used to, and I certainly have never really been one to do as much as you do, Mags, because I think I'd just drive myself insane if I did that much stuff. So credit to you, to be completely honest. Just credit to you for doing as much as you do. I don't give you that many props, and because there's not really anyone here yet, I can do it, and no one will see. You do a very good job of what you do. You are very good at what you do.
I appreciate that.
You do a lot. You do a lot.
I have an issue with saying no to people because I've always wanted to raise everybody I can in this community, and if I can help out by being a guest on their show and for things like advice, I will. Sometimes at the detriment of my own social life, but that's the rub. People were kind enough to volunteer their time for my content when I was first starting out, so I think it's only fair that I pay it forward.
Hey, that's because you're a nice person. You're a nice person, so you do.
Who is this Josh? Where has this Josh come from?
I don't know. Must be. I told you I was a bit exhausted today. Maybe my mind's like jelly, and I'm like, be nice to Mags. I'm like, no. Don't worry. I'm sure it won't last very long. Yeah, life is just kind of happening. I'm doing stuff. Subtle plug for Love Wrestling. Man, oh man, is Love Wrestling just growing at a rapid pace, or what? It's cool to see, because it's a lot of very talented people. On their personal feelings aside for how I feel about them, they're very nice people. But just wow. Wowza.
I'm a very, very tiny cog in that whole machine. But to take a backseat and see you all just absolutely just dominate and come with amazing content, doing some amazing thing, the Trevor Project stuff that's happening all month, it's just awe-inspiring. Spencer, he's infectious. He really is, and the team that he's gathered and the people that he's brought into work on Love Wrestling, yeah, it's phenomenal. I love every single member, from Perish to Goose to the Jaws, the Heavenly Emperor. Just an amazing team of really talented people, and also nice, also free with the time. Will give advice and help, it's one of those projects. I mean, we've been involved in quite a few different projects together, but this is one of those projects what you could see being massive, like being a huge thing, and it's all down to the drive and the infection that Spencer brings, and he just makes you want to be a better content creator.
Yeah, Spencer's a good person. He really is. I have all the time in the world for Spencer, because he's shown all the time in the world for me and I know I can probably speak for the whole team, but for a lot of people, he has a lot of time in the world for a lot of people, and he's very good at what he does. Yeah. He's very good. It's not just he's a great leader and he's a great, runner of whatever you want to call him for Love Wrestling. He is also a great creator, and he does great interviews, and he's very good at what he does. So, but I digress, and I don't want to. I could probably talk about Spencer for hours. I had a brilliant chat with him last week for Pride Month, and they are still raising money. Love Wrestling, we all are still raising money, for the Trevor Project. And if you want to go and watch that chat, go to Love Wrestling CA on Twitch, and you can see the archive of that, the VOD of that. It was a very honest chat. I don't think I've ever really been that open, to be completely honest. And I trusted Spencer to kind of guide that the way I see fit and whatever it may be. Thank you so much, Justin Time, for following on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, whatever you want, leave a sub, leave a follow, whatever you can. Helps me out and helps me growing. I'm at 470 followers on Twitch. I'm nearly at 500. That's pretty cool. I love streaming on Twitch. Twitch is a great platform, and I have a lot of fun on it. So for anyone that takes the time to follow or sub or whatever, just be here, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, I appreciate you. But we are here to talk about NXT TakeOver In Your House. It has been just over a year since the first In Your House that I know Mr. Mags was not a huge fan of. I think it's...
It was one of the weakest takeovers, but that's only because we had such a good run of amazing takeovers, and I thought it just ebbed and flawed so bad. The dips were so horrific. The Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole match just did not hit the mark for me, and it really kind of soured the show. But saying it was the worst NXT takeover is not really a detriment, because it's 10 times better than the majority of other wrestling.
That's true. That is very true. But regardless of that, we are leading into this takeover, and on paper, we were kind of talking about this before we went live, but it is probably a little bit of a predictable takeover. But predictability doesn't mean bad. I just want to clarify that. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's that time of year in wrestling when we're just gearing up for more things, and we've got drafts looming, and we've got a lot of he said, she said of like, is this person going here? Is this person, what's really going on? There was a lot of releases within the main kind of talent within WWE. So there needs to be a few spots filled. So where do you pluck from? You pluck from NXT. So, which is, it's a blessing and a curse, because the NXT roster right now is just firing, and NXT is so good right now. But it does give people, there's a lot of talent that isn't on TV in NXT that can now get an opportunity. So, that's how NXT works. So that's probably why I like NXT as much as it is. As much as I hate seeing people go, it's kind of a revolving door here of like, people could come back and new people are always in. It keeps it very fresh, which is what NXT has as opposed to a lot of other places, is that yes, they get talent plucked from them, but they also have just a whole lineup of talent ready to kind of show what they're about. So there is some things on this card that we're like, this person's probably definitely going to win or lose, but that doesn't matter. Paper, I think overall it looks like a pretty, it could be a chance to be a bit of a sleeper takeover when you think about this, of like, people are like, okay, it's going to be fine, like whatever, but there's a lot of opportunity here for some people that we haven't really seen too much out of, get an opportunity to do something really cool, and we got some different stuff happening. So I'm excited overall, Mags, without really diving into any match like we're going to talk about in a minute. But how do you feel about that? Are you kind of on the same boat?
Yeah, I think with predictability, like we mentioned pre-show, on paper this feels like you could ram off all the winners and get it right pretty much 90% of the time. The issue is, for me, is the looming WWE draft. The rumors that are floating around are that Raw and SmackDown are looking to be taking maybe up to 20 NXT talents altogether, which is a hell of a lot. And you would have to expect some of those talents are from this show. So that kind of throws a spanner in the works in terms of where you're going to go with predictions. There's some obvious talent who you would suggest would go up because they've done all they can in the division, or they just look more like Vince McMahon style talents. They look primed for Raw or SmackDown. But taking all that into consideration, I'm going to try and not focus on people leaving and just focus on the matches and who I would like to come out of the matches as winners, and where I think the storylines could go.
Yeah, 20 is a lot of people. A lot of people. Alex, hello in the chat over on Twitch. What's going on? It is it's a lot of people. So, well, you know, it's a lot. That's just a lot of people. When I think about that, and you think of the amount of talent within NXT, yes, there's a lot, but you take 20 from anywhere, and
yeah, it's a culling. It really is.
Jesus, that's a lot of people. But let's start talking about this card because it's like I said, it looks pretty damn good. Like it really does look good in the sense of like when you think about it, it could be really good. Let's start with Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. It is a ladder match for the $1 Million Championship. Now, Mags, you've been watching wrestling longer than me.
No shit.
This isn't an
longer than
old
you've
joke.
been alive.
Trust me.
I've been watching wrestling longer than you've been alive.
When did you? This is a fucking just amazing question that you know everyone should ask. When did you start watching wrestling, Mags? Because I actually genuinely don't know.
Wow. The mid 80s.
Okay, fuck. Yeah, that's a long time ago. But the $1 Million Championship. You know more about the $1 Million. You know, 1965. I agree. You know about the $1 Million Championship and its legacy more than I do. I know what the $1 Million Championship is. I associate it with Ted DiBiase, but obviously that was before I was watching wrestling. What if you had to kind of sum up what the $1 Million Championship means to wrestling? Could you sum that up for people that maybe don't know what the $1 Million Championship really is?
Okay, so I remember the vignettes that $1 Million Man did when this title was being created, when it was being forged out of gold and all the jewels being set. It's always been a title that doesn't really have any impact on whether somebody moves up or down a card or it means anything in terms of their legacy. It was always just something for $1 Million Man feuds. The main feud that he had with it was with Virgil, his former bodyguard, and then once $1 Million Man kind of transitioned out of active wrestling, it then started getting put on his protege, which at the time was the ringmaster, a certain Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then after that it kind of faded away. And it's only recently that it's come back into existence. But it's been one of those titles, kind of like the Smoking Skulls Austin title or the Rock Brahma Bull title that people have never forgot. It's always held like people have held it in high regard just because of how iconic it was for the character that brought it into existence. And I think with Cameron Grimes doing this whole I'm rich off stocks and doggo coin and things like that, I think it was a perfect time to bring it back. I love Ted DiBiase from the 80s. I love him being back here in this kind of like more of a almost like an ambassadorial role. So yeah. I'm happy to see it back.
Yeah, and Tom, what's up? Mr. Tom Collar here. He's a great dude. He does a lot of SmackDown Raw watch-alongs and stuff here on Twitch, as well as doing some other stuff, and just a nice person. And of course, the one and only, the Miss Queen of NE. She is she's a great friend of both of us. Yes, she's just a great. What a great egg. But yes, Mr. Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. LA Knight, he's an interesting cat. If even if you weren't following Eli Drake's kind of career and you were just an NXT person or just whatever, and you're just learning about LA Knight, he is. What I like about him is that there was a little bit of uncertainty with him. I'm like, is he going to fit this NXT shape? Because NXT does, while it does have a lot of different styles and stuff like that, NXT does have its feel. I don't know how to describe it if it makes any sense the way I'm saying it, but NXT just has this kind of, this is the mold for NXT, work within it and you'll be fine. LA Knight doesn't really necessarily fit that NXT mold, if not digging at him or anything like that, but he just has a different feel. But he's fit so well because he's so different from anybody else within NXT. Obviously his promo work is top tier. He's so great at just speaking. But his in-ring style meshes really well because everyone is so fast-paced and he is a little bit of a slower-paced wrestler. Again, that's not a bad thing. He's just more of an old school kind of wrestler. He's really cool. I really dug his time in NXT because he's kind of taking his time. I kind of like that he isn't just rushed into anything too crazy. He has been kind of staggered in a great way. And I really like that about LA Knight. But when it comes to this kind of dynamic with him and Cameron Grimes, it works well because they're so you look at them and they're so different. They sound different. They wrestle different. They look different. And then you throw in the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and you've got a weird working success formula here with this, and I don't know why. NXT love ladder matches. I love ladder matches. So I really have no problem with this one. It has a big opportunity to be kind of fun. I could probably see this going on first.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense to the start the crowd hot, as they say. And I've loved absolutely everything about this storyline. Cameron Grimes was someone who I really didn't quite get at the beginning. I know he was when he was Trevor Lee on the Indies, he was one of those indie darlings, but I just didn't quite I thought the character was an old trope, kind of like the redneck, but he's grown on me so much with the catchphrases, with the kind of idiotic attitude he has, and this whole build with hardly having any wrestling matches involved, with the vignettes, with being scuppered at every turn by Ted DiBiase, has been so fun. Cameron Grimes, he's just absolutely amazing, and I agree with you on LA Knight. There's not many wrestlers who can come in and have the reputation of Eli Drake, and then totally kind of take on a new name and really make it work so quickly. And we've seen in NXT guys like when Keith Lee came in, when Ricochet came in, it took a while to build those characters up. With LA Knight, I think he's and Queen said it perfectly in the chat, he's found his lane pretty quickly. He knows what works. He's great on the mark. His style is different to a lot of wrestlers in NXT, so he stands out. And I just love his cocky, kind of brash demeanor. He's essentially Matt called him the NXT Miz, but I think he's more like the NXT MJF, where he just thinks he's so much better than everybody else. But this is going to be a banger of a match. This is going to be an absolute banger. I love the gold ladder being revealed on the last NXT. I thought that was superb. This will be a brilliant opener match.
Yeah, and Rhonda, hello, welcome in. I'm doing well. We're having a little old chat about NXT. When it comes to winners, it could really. This is probably the one out of everything that I'm like, it could go either way because it can work. It can work in both ways. I can also see Ted DiBiase being involved maybe a little more with NXT because it does add some, not that NXT needs legitimacy, but it just adds some other layer that maybe NXT doesn't have. It doesn't really rely on a lot of nostalgia, where wrestling kind of lives and breathes of nostalgia and everything like that. NXT doesn't really have a lot of that when you really break it down. But for me, I'll start us off. Usually we're always in agreement on the first one. So let's see if we can keep the tradition going. I think if I had to put money on it, if I was in Vegas right now and gambling away, I'd probably put my money a little bit more towards LA Knight winning this one.
Okay. We're going to break the tradition then because I feel that it may be Cameron Grimes that wins this. I don't think LA Knight particularly needs the title. He's where the storyline that Cameron has had and the feud he's had with $1 Million Man, it builds to this crescendo of him having a title. And I think the end game is for Cameron Grimes to lose all of his money and lose all of his stocks, and alongside that, lose the $1 Million championship. So I think we're going to get a Cameron Grimes win, and I dare say this storyline is going to continue where LA Knight takes everything away from Cameron later down the line.
All right. Well, we broke tradition. I know it's probably been done once or twice on our prediction shows, but usually we're always in agreement on the first one, and then we're just a mess for the rest of the time. But yeah, I'm not fussed either way, and I can see it working for either
it's
one.
A pick 'em.
So
it's certainly a pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em for this one. Let's talk about some an interesting social media post that NXT put up on their account about Raquel Gonzalez. Very interesting. It just kind of proves that WWE lives in its own little bubble sometimes and doesn't really know its own history. The first I don't want to butcher anything here. The Ray and Eddie thing didn't bother me. I'm like, okay, she can kind of say what she wants. Good for her. The actual fact of the matter is, though, that she is not the first Latina woman. She's not the first Mexican woman to win WWE Gold. There's been a whole list of women that are Latinas that have won WWE Gold. Melina comes to brain when I think of that. The Bella Twins come to brain when I think of that. Bailey comes to my brain when I think of that. The list goes on and on. I could sit here and list a whole line of women that have those roots.
Kristen Ashley over at Bell to Bells actually did a post where she round off 11 people with Latin American heritage that have won a WWE title. So yeah, like I said, Melina, Layla, Eve Torres, the Bellas, Caitlyn, AJ Lee, Bayley, Ronda Rousey, Candice Michelle, Indy Hartwell, and then obviously Raquel Gonzalez. So yeah.
No disrespect to Raquel at all, by the way.
Not.
She's great. And if you want to, say that you're compared to Eddie, and good for you. Like, do you. But the actual facts here is that you are not the first. You are long from the first. And by all means, be proud of your heritage and be proud of being a Latina woman. But, oh my goodness, it just shows it's not on her that I feel the heat here in my brain is on. It's the disrespect to the 11 women before her that actually have held the championship and have this heritage. So it just really boggles my mind. I'm just like,
it's not like WWE had the best of weeks on social media. Let's not forget that Triple H had the conference call where he said it's fans' fault that the product is terrible.
And then he said that, having an all-woman show is not equal. And it's like, oh, bitch, let's not even get into that one. But yeah, I did see that post as well, Steph. Someone said it doesn't count because Bailey's character is not Latina. I'm like, oh, man, you need to, just maybe shut up. But yeah, the disrespect. That's the best way to put it. But it's just it is what it is. I don't know the actual context of the conversation, whether that it was just the social media post that said this. I don't know if Raquel said this. I don't know if the person asking the question at the press conference said this. I don't know, but it's just, we'll leave it at that. But it is just not good. But let's talk about the NXT women's division and talk about this match. A bit of an interesting match to put on a takeover, but I like it. It gives more women an opportunity. You got Mercedes Martinez taking on Xia Li. Now, Xia Li has had quite the transformation in the last few months. Her little her associates, I guess you could put them as her colleagues, her friends, maybe. I don't really know what the kind of exact relationship is between all of these people. But I think it's probably best to hand this one over to you, Mags. What do you take with Xia Li's interesting associates?
I've always been a fan of Xia Li since she first turned up in NXT, but I always felt that she almost felt like a jobber, and that's no disrespect to her. It's because we had no connection to her. She had no real character aside from, I'm good at karate and I've got a huge fan.
That's basic. I'm just going to chime in for a minute. That is literally Xia Li's character for the
Yeah.
last 2 years, 3
Yeah,
years, however long she's been there.
and she suffered from the old adage of 50-50 booking. Couldn't pick up 2 wins in a row, and was kind of just seemed like she was floating in the lower card. And I think this kind of subtle character change where she's in this almost like a cult with Boa, and they're going around and using that ancient Japanese markings to she's paying back the people who've held her down in NXT, and she claims that Mercedes is one of them. I love this, and I think she's always been talented in ring. The in-ring work stuff has always been really top quality from Xia Li, but she's needed this change, and I'm so much more invested in her because of this change. The issue for me becomes when we've recently seen Mercedes in a title match where she got beat by Raquel Gonzalez, and I can't see her winning this match, because Xia Li and this story is so new, and there's so many more different routes they can go down with it, that I think Xia has to win to continue this storyline. Saying all that, there is rumor that Mercedes Martinez may be one of the people going up to main roster, because of there's rumors that she's going to be affiliated with Eva Marie. So that kind of then it telegraphs the result for me. I think Xia Li takes the win. We continue with this Bo and Tian Shaw storyline that's carrying on, and Mercedes goes on and becomes a big star in the Evolution.
It is, Eva Marie is debuting in the ring on Raw next week, so it does make sense. I don't hate Mercedes in that role on the main roster, for the reason being that it protects her for a little while. Because as much as I hate to say it, Mercedes Martinez is an extremely talented woman who I love, but she will get eaten alive on the main roster. Eaten alive. Look at Shayna Baszler. We're not going to get into that, but it's just putting her with Eva, who's obviously going to be in a fairly high spot when it comes to
also limited
Raw.
in the ring as well,
and it helps Eva. It's a win-win-win-win situation here. It really is. As much as people want to shit on Eva, I understand it. People don't like Eva Marie, but have her at least be able to talk. She can talk the talk, and Mercedes can help her walk the walk, in a sense. And again, I have to put out there, whenever I talk about Eva Marie, and I say a lot on Twitter, I understand the frustration with her, but we don't know what she's like in the ring at the moment because we haven't seen her wrestle in a long time. We don't know what she's been doing. I'm not saying I have high hopes and she's going to be a 5-star wizard, but
and I don't think she's really been brought back because of her wrestling prowess. She's been brought back because she has the best part of 5 million followers on Instagram. She's got millions and millions of followers on Twitter. She's got that social media presence that WWE need to tap into, because they are losing viewers. They are losing the touch with fans, and someone like Eva Marie will bring in a casual audience. So I'm not against Eva Marie being called back up to WWE. I think they need somebody with her star power.
Yeah. I won't touch too much more on Eva Marie. I agree with you. Social media presence, I agree. She has more followers than a lot of those women combined. So I'll leave it at that one. But talking about this match, it does go back to the Mae Young Classic. And all of the time, it was Mercedes Martinez and Xia Li in the first round of the Mae Young Classic, in the first Mae Young Classic. And Xia Li's come a long way since then. Even Mercedes Martinez, who is a veteran in the ring, has come a long way since then, being signed to WWE and everything else that comes along with that. But I'm in agreement with you. This is a match that Xia has to win, and with rumors running rampant, and Mercedes just being one of the ones that I'm pretty certain, whether she's associated with Eva or not, is on her way to Raw or SmackDown. So SmackDown needs a lot of women, because they have not very many because they decided to release everybody. So they need some women because otherwise things are going to get very stale very fast. So it is what it is. But Zaya's the winner here for me. She needs it a lot more. I feel like Zaya could be something fun within NXT because she does have a bit of a difference. And obviously with her gang, her crew, she has something that's a little bit different that nobody else really has to offer within NXT. So we'll see what happens. But Xia Li, pretty much probably out of everything, I'm like, she's 100% winning this one. Nothing really else. Do you want to add anything else before we move along?
I mean, I know we've seen Mercedes with a hint on main roster with being part of Retribution, but I think she would certainly lend some credibility to Eva Marie in terms of wrestling because she has been a trailblazer. She's walked the path so many other women could follow, and it's about time she got that mainstream recognition for all the hard work she's put in. So I think she's going to put Xia Li over in this match and then move on to Raw.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you any more. We'll move right along. Let's talk about the winner take all match. The winners take all, whatever you want to really call it. It's Bronson Reed, the North American champion, and MSK, the tag team champions, of course, defending against everybody's favorite faction. Right?
Do you not like Legado del Fantasma?
I don't dislike Legado del Fantasma.
Wow. The shade.
Listen here. I like Santos Escobar.
Yeah. He's a star. He's an absolute star. Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wild, for me, they just can't get out of that. I've always seen them as jobbers. I mean, how long have we seen Raul Mendoza in NXT being the person who takes pins? And in this group, I can't see him out of that, unfortunately. But being teamed with Escobar has raised their profile, no doubt about it. But Escobar is the star of that faction.
Yeah, no, well, you're not wrong at all. I don't know. Yeah, this is a really petty reason why I don't like them, but I hate their theme music. It really irritates me. Not in a way that I think it's bad. I hear it and I'm just like, shut up. I just hate it. So it just makes me dislike them. That's an awful reason not to like somebody, but it's my reason and suck on that. So whatever. This is a match that will be a lot of fun, to be completely honest. It'll be fast-paced. I do want to mention, why does the CWC, the fans in attendance in the Capitol Wrestling Center, want to boo MSK? I don't get it. Am I in the minority here that just loves MSK? Or no, what's going on?
I love them. I think they're superbly talented wrestlers, and there has been a lot of backlash against MSK. And maybe it's because they're being pushed so soon. Normally, when we see people coming to NXT, like I said, they usually travel the Keith Lee route, where they are broken down, pick up wins and losses, and then they get built up into this big superstar. MSK were huge from the get-go, winning the Dusty Classic, winning the tag titles, and maybe it's a case of they feel almost forced upon us that we have to like them. And like I said, I do like them, but I can understand why other fans are like, no, other teams have come before you, other teams have deserved it. I mean, the way that they dominated over the grizzled young veterans, that left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because I feel that the veterans should have won the titles. They've put in the work. They've got great characters. But I'm not unhappy that MSK are champions. I like how they wrestle. They're a typical NXT style team with flashy high-flying moves. And they're both going to be superstars as single wrestlers as well. But I do love the concept of this winner-takes-all match. When it was announced that all the titles will be on the line, I was like, that's cool. That's pretty unique. So yeah, I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, maybe the thing with MSK is that NXT is full of cool people, and they're just fun, and it comes across as try hard. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't agree with that. But does it maybe come across to an NXT fan who watches a lot of cool heels and cool faces that are getting cheered, and then you have MSK that are just like, we're fun. We're here to have a good time. Like, I get it.
It's almost like the replacements for the Street Profits. Or kind of like NXT's version of what Private Party used to be. Like almost generic. Especially with like the catchphrases.
I get what you mean. But yeah, I like the winner take all concept as well. Let's talk about old thick boy Bronson Reed.
Your boy.
Well, Adelaide boy. Although Steph will hear me on this. Steph will hear me. He's a Port Adelaide fan, and we don't like Port Adelaide. Isn't that right, Steph? Steph will get in there, and I'll put it on that one. No. He replied to me on Twitter, and he said, "Hey, as long as you go for an Adelaide team," I was like, "Yeah, all right, mate. I got it." But anyway, he did win in the steel cage match against Johnny Gargano. I like Bronson. He has a lot of upside. I'm very scared that he is going to be taken away to Raw SmackDown.
Yes. That's my big issue, and that may be kind of swaying my pick. I don't know how many more matches Santos Escobar can lose before he starts losing that luster. Did amazing as the Cruiserweight champion, but he was always destined for more. And I think that him taking this North American title, especially when he was saying North America also includes Mexico, which I absolutely love that the way to like bring Mexican wrestling in. I think he's been superb for Lucha Libre in NXT, but he looks like a wrestler that needs a title. If you understand what I mean, that he's too good to not have a belt. So that makes me concerned that Bronson is going to get snatched. He is going to Raw, SmackDown, because he's the kind of wrestler that Vince will enjoy playing with for a few weeks, and then he'll end up being in catering for a while. So yeah, I think I've got to go with Legado del Fantasma on this one. All new champions.
I don't agree. I still think that MSK and Bronson are going to win because we still have a few months to the draft. We've still got a little bit of time. And I just don't think maybe that's going to happen right there. But Bronson is one to me that I'm just like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh man, they're going to take Bronson, and he works so nicely in NXT. I just want to just take a second here to say that this piece of crap has been so annoying the last couple of days. She has just been the worst. But, expose her for Twitch follows. So
she's been amazing. She's just been protective of her house, and she also hates all your wrestling merch, so she tries to destroy it.
She does. She's a piece of shit, aren't you, love? I love her to bits, but please get down, love. Please, please, please. Go down. Okay, back to the task at hand. Yeah, I think that MSK and Bronson will take it home. I just don't think that Legado del Fantasma are the ones that are going to take the titles or whatever it may be. But I do want to take a minute to talk about this comment that Queen made. I'll read it out. It's on the screen. But NXT stepping out of the box for this pay-per-view with some matches they normally don't do. Winner take all, 5-way for the title, $1 million match, etc., etc. That is a really good point. We'll touch more on the 5-way in a minute, but they don't really do this kind of stuff a lot where it's usually a pretty set formula for takeovers, and not complaining because it works very well. It's usually a tag match and singles matches. We don't really get a lot of multi-person matches on takeovers, personally, especially in a main event setting. It's usually like one-on-one, sometimes a triple threat, but we don't usually get like 4-ways, 5-ways, whatever it may be. You have the ladder match occasionally, but
yeah, unless it's something like really important, like a War Games, or if it's
yeah.
or if it's like we got the 6-man ladder match for the first ever North American title. But I do get your point. They do tend to kind of stick to singles matches, but I think that kind of shows just how much talent there is on the roster, that they're able to put so many multi-man matches on one card, and we still feel like there's people who've been left off. I mean, there's no Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae on this card, so there's still feuds and storylines that are not being involved. There's no Finn Balor on this card. There's no Grizzled Young Veterans. There's no Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. There's no Imperium. So there's still a hell of a lot of talent that haven't made this card.
Which is a good thing because it keeps it fresh. And with the amount of talent that could potentially be going, you've got a lot there to really work with. I do want to ask, we talk about rumors and we talk about drafts and we talk about different things. Let's break some down a little bit. Let's break down a couple of these. First things first, let's try and keep these as quick fire as possible because I've got a few to run down. But what's your take on the rumor that Mr. Samoa Joe could be heading to NXT?
I would love that for Samoa Joe. I thought he was so damn good in NXT. Very reminiscent of his Indian Impact TNA Samoa Joe. He fell for the typical call up where he was brought up and then they did nothing with him, which is a massive, massive shame. I think if he's clear to wrestle and he wants to be still involved in WWE, NXT is the perfect place for him. And we've seen it work as well with taking people down like Finn Balor. Finn Balor's career has been totally refreshed by being back on NXT, where he was floundering on main roster. So I would be happy for him. I can see him being kind of put off the company because of how they treated him and how they released him, especially so soon after WrestleMania. But I would, as a fan, I would love to see Joe back at NXT.
Me too. I think it would be a really good fit. Is this a sign that maybe they're going to bring in some released talent back to NXT? Because the women's tag team division over in NXT could use a couple of people that I think I know are a bit free at the moment. Mm-hmm. But I digress off of Samoa Joe. But I would like to see Joe. It's a perfect fit. I mean, there's money in Joe versus Cross. Let's just fucking say that. Another little, we talk about the draft a lot. We talk about people that may be potentially going up without mentioning any of the names that we've already run through of like this person might go up. If I just gave you one person that you definitely think is going to either Raw or SmackDown in the draft in the coming months, without mentioning the ones we've already said, who would be your 100% here's my money, this person's going to Raw or SmackDown?
Shotzi Blackheart.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I think Shotzi will go?
Yeah. I think
I'll leave that question to the chat as well, by the way. If you have any picks, I'll throw them up on screen as I'm saying. But please explain, Mags.
Yeah, I think she's picked up an injury recently, so that means she's going to be out of wrestling action for a while. I'm sure we'll still see her on this show and get involved. But she just seems ready to go to main roster. I mean, we've had her hosting NXT takeovers. She's got amazing character work. Her wrestling is I mean, this is no disrespect, but it's probably not the best compared to a lot of the women's wrestlers on NXT. But she'll certainly fit in on the likes of Raw and SmackDown, where they don't get as much ring time as compared to like the women in NXT. I think her character work is superb, and Vince will absolutely adore her. So yeah, I think Shotzi is primed to get plucked from NXT.
A lot of people are saying Dakota Kai. I don't personally see that one.
There's too much legs in the Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez storyline for me yet. She's another person who has been so good in NXT, and that she deserves to go up. But I think if any female wrestler,
is it up? I don't know if it's up.
Yeah, across then. Yeah. But she's one of those wrestlers who she deserves a title run before she goes up because of just how many wrestlers she helped build towards the title. I mean, you've got to remember when Shayna Baszler came in, Dakota Kai was pivotal in making Shayna look like an absolute killer. And then we had the switch with Tegan Knox, which put Tegan Knox over as one of the biggest baby faces. I think she deserves a title run before she goes up. So I'd hold back on Dakota Kai just for a little while.
A lot of people saying maybe Io Shirai. Queen put out a good point. She just did come back with Poppy introduced her back to NXT. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. If I had to be a betting man, I think Finn Balor is going back to the main roster, and I do think that Finn will have another chance, maybe. I don't think he was ever ruined, per se, on the main roster. I just think he got a little bit lost. I don't think there was anything he really did or they really did that, like, to completely destroyed him. I think it was just a matter of like, I'm just not fitting here right now. And they do have a few spots open. It would add some new stuff and give him another chance to kind of see what we can do with Finn Balor on the main roster. Because obviously Finn's very, very good, but to come back to NXT and then to go back over to the main roster, it does kind of recharge his batteries a little bit, especially if it's going to be a little bit of an extended break between he's not on TV at the moment. So perhaps when the rumored draft is going to happen. So Finn Balor would be my pick.
And Justin's made a good point in the chat about him going to SmackDown because Roman Reigns is very quickly running out of people to destroy, and I think Finn Balor could certainly put up a very good fight against the Tribal Chief. So I can see that. I don't want it to happen though, only because Finn, like you said, felt so lost on main roster. He started fresh with winning the Universal title.
He was a Universal champion.
Yeah, and then picking up an injury, and then it quickly fell down into that like kind of a mid-card level, and never seemed to get the opportunities that he should have. He had that amazing match with Brock, but then fell back down the card again. So
shout out to that match, by the way. It doesn't get enough love of how great it actually was. Brock and Finn at the Rumble in 2020? 2019. 2019. Yeah, 2019. So damn good. Just such a good match. But you know what? I'll leave the other one because it will take a little bit of time for after we talk about this next match. Let's talk about the NXT Women's Championship. Raquel Gonzalez will be defending against Ember Moon. No disrespect to either of these women. It'll be a fine match, but it is just a person for Raquel to beat. No offense, Ember Moon.
And a person with pedigree as well. The fact that Ember Moon is a former champion, that she did really well on the main roster, and then she's come back down. This is all about building Raquel's legacy as an NXT champion. I think this is the easiest pick of the lot. NXT are very, very high on Raquel Gonzalez, and social media posts aside, I think she's got a huge upside for somebody who's only been really wrestling for a couple of years. She's took to it like a duck to water, really improved. Even in this title run, I think she's improved. Character work's going really well. She's got that slow kind of babyface turn, which is going to lead to the Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez story, which I think is going to be absolutely superb. But yeah, this is Ember Moon filling a space, putting a win on in Raquel's column, and Raquel's easily going to win.
Yep, and it'll be fine. It won't be a bad match. It'll probably be a lot of fun. Question for the chat. A question for Mags. Dakota and Raquel, well, I agree, it would be super fun. I think we talked about this last time, but hey, this is what we're here for. Me as a fan, has less interest in that story if it's Dakota as the heel and Raquel as the face. Because call me whatever you want. Call me a simple-minded person, or call me just someone that's watched a lot of wrestling. Smaller person works better as a natural babyface. Bigger person is a better heel. wrestling wise, story wise, everything in between wise, it just makes more sense to me to have the big bad Raquel Gonzalez stepping down on the little, inferior Dakota Kai, if you will. It just tells more of a sometimes just doing something different to be different isn't worth being different. It's okay. It's wrestling. It's like this. It goes around, 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 around. Yes, we've seen the story before, but it's what they do with it that makes it different. There's something in my brain that just doesn't commute properly when I visualize that match of Dakota being a heel and Raquel being a face, and it's Dakota getting in all this heat. And while I think Dakota's a fantastic heel, probably a better heel than a babyface, just that dynamic just doesn't. I don't saying it'll be bad, and by all means, let's go. If you can prove me wrong, prove me fucking wrong. But I just I would have more interest in it if Dakota was the face.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your mindset there, but I would also then counter that with Alexa Bliss. She is the smallest woman on the whole roster, but yet she is one of the best heels. And she's arguably had Nia Jax's best storyline where she was bullying Nia Jax. So there is history for having a smarmy, cocky, smaller heel taking on a bigger face. But I also do get your point. It would almost look like reverse bullying when a huge face is beating the living piss out of a small heel.
It's like, are we going to cheer? How do we cheer that? I just don't. I don't get it. But again, I'm not saying it would be bad. Just saying it would be the easiest story to tell, just to have Raquel be like, "You're holding me back. You're a stupid idiot. Like, I hate you." You know.
I mean, the issue is actually now for me is getting to that, because Raquel seems to be naturally floating towards becoming a face, and Dakota is such a bitch of a heel.
Am I not seeing that? Am I just blind to that? Am I blind to what you're saying? Because
what the subtle hints
I don't see. I see it the other way, though.
Okay, I mean, the fact that Ember Moon came out and challenged Raquel rather than Raquel going after Ember Moon, it's things like that slowly move it over. The fact that she's getting cheered and the fact that she's smiling after wins and holding the title up. It is incredibly subtle, and if NXT wanted to switch it up, they could kind of discount that. We've seen that with WWE and NXT before, where stuff are forgotten because they go another way with terms of storyline. It would be interesting to see Dakota Kai go back to being a face. Because I really like face Dakota Kai, the leader of Team K.
You and Queen can fight then. Queen doesn't.
But I'm going to actually agree with Queen. I think she has worked really well as a heel. All that the beating up of Tegan Nox and just becoming so smarmy. I think she's proved that she has got the chops for character work. And this storyline may even be a long way down the line yet. We don't need to rush.
It could be a year away. Like it let it build. The longer, the better. Take it slow, because I don't think Raquel's losing the title anytime soon. But again, it all could go away. A lot of people are saying Dakota Kai's on her way to the main roster. So who knows? Who really knows what's going to happen there? But at least we're in agreement on one thing, is that Raquel is walking away with the NXT Women's Championship, and she will go on to somebody else for future defenses, whoever that may be. Now, I'm glad you brought up Alexa Bliss. Because I would like to have a little conversation that involves Miss Alexa Bliss. This is for Mags. This is for me. This is for the chat. This is your chance to rant about what the fuck happened on Raw this past week. I'm sure whether you watch Raw or you don't watch Raw, you have seen it, because you wouldn't be able to escape it. It would be in your wrestling fan mind to be like, well, I've got to at least have a look at this. of what exactly happened. Okay, let me break some stuff down and run it down, and then I'll throw it to you, Mags. So, for anyone that hasn't been watching Raw, hasn't been keeping up with what's going on with Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler, there's been some, I guess, a situation that's been going on. Lily is involved at the moment, and for anyone that doesn't know, Lily is a little doll, like a voodoo doll.
It's such an ugly doll as well. It's horrific.
It's hideous. Like, get that shit away from me at nighttime. Don't want to come anywhere near it. I like supernatural stuff. I like when wrestling is a bit fucking weird, to be completely honest with you. But you have to have the right characters in these situations for it to work. So basically, Shayna Baszler. We talked about Shayna Baszler coming in last year. A lot of people didn't like that Women's Elimination Chamber last year. But match aside, Shayna Baszler eliminated every single woman in that match. Mm-hmm. She was on track to WrestleMania to fight Becky Lynch. Her first month on the main roster, and she's fighting arguably the biggest female star that wrestling has ever seen at WrestleMania for their top prize, for the Women's World Championship. She obviously lost and then just kind of spiraled, got back to some things with Nia Jax, was a tag team champion twice with Nia Jax. And now Shayna Baszler is scared of a doll. I don't have a problem with like B-level WWE horror movie shit that they do. I find it funny, and I'm like, I can find the entertainment in this. I don't personally hate that kind of stuff. But when you have Shayna Baszler scared of one doll, who they were insinuating maybe this doll got a hold of Shayna Baszler at the end of Raw. We didn't see it, of course, but we heard the screaming. I don't know how to process that very well, because there's certain aspects that sometimes, you shouldn't say this in wrestling because anything's fixable, but there's certain aspects that you can't get away from. Once you go into this area with Shayna Baszler, there's no real way of getting out of it. I wish they would. You can just forget about it. The segment was poorly done, and I think WWE are resting on their laurels of, this really works. Let's milk this fucking thing dry, because Bliss is a lot of fun. I want to put it out to the masses here. Alexa Bliss is fantastic in this role. Great character work. Shayna Baszler doing the best she can in the role that she's given. But it just doesn't mesh very well. And I think you should stick to the supernatural stuff with the people like The Fiend, the people like Alexa Bliss. And you can have certain elements of characters that work in this situation. Shayna Baszler is not one of these characters that should be scared of a doll. It was filmed really poorly. It was done really weird. And I'm very glad to see the tail end of the Thunderdome, because we're back to live crowds, and you can't do a segment quite like that in the beginning. Well, I know they can do the cinematic stuff, but you can't quite do a segment like that exactly how they did that. But it was just, to call a spade was just pretty bad. That's the way I can really process it. It wasn't entertainingly funny. It was just pretty bad. And I find anything, I don't watch Raw at the moment. I watch clips here and there. It's all in the background sometimes, but I don't really watch Raw. It's a big reason why I'm glad I'm not at the moment. And I hope it gets better. I really do. I want it to be amazing, so I can't miss it. But at the moment, Raw is, in a word, missable.
Mm-hmm. A lot to break down in this.
Go for your live chat, by the way. If you want to break it down, I'll be putting up comments while Mags is saying his point.
Yeah, so for me, being someone who knows Shayna Baszler from her MMA background, watched all of her work through NXT, she was the easiest character to book for. She didn't need any kind of like added nuances. She comes in as a killer with a legitimate MMA background, and she dominates fights. And then she picks up losses by nefarious means. It writes itself. And then she's been hamstrung with the the odd couple tag team, which I feel that she made work. I thought that she showed a lot of her character work in that, but that was still grounded in reality. It's something that could happen. Two people who don't get along win a title and carry that title for a while. This does not make sense for Shayna's character whatsoever. Why would you have a killer of a character with a legitimate MMA background in this supernatural storyline? It just doesn't make sense. You could have used any other female wrestler in this storyline. It didn't. It should not have been Shayna Baszler. It should have been anybody else but Shayna Baszler. It just absolutely it baffles me how this was brought up in booking and said, here's a good idea. Let's take a legitimate MMA fighter who we could have amazing matches and really kind of elevate the rest of our women's roster, and let's her play second fiddle to Alexa Bliss on a swing and a doll. It makes literally no sense in the world. Why would she just rip the doll's head off and throw it away and then punch Alexa Bliss clean in the face? That's what she should be doing. But instead, she's walking around backstage, almost getting killed by boxers and Seth falling on her, running away and locking herself in a room, and then seeing the doll in a mirror, kicking the mirror, and then seeing multiple dolls. It's just, it just beggars belief how this is a storyline, how Shayna Baszler is in this position. Where does she recover from this? Even if she wins this feud, she looks like a fucking moron because she's scared of a doll. It's ridiculous. It's one of the it's not the reason I don't watch Raw. I don't watch Raw because time and it sucks. But this would not bring me back into watching Raw in a million years.
Oh no way! I am have never. I won't say never. In the last few years, I have never been so anti-Raw, and I've also never watched the least amount of wrestling in 1 week every single week for this amount of time ever. And I love WWE. I'm not afraid to say that. A lot of people shit on me and I get ridiculed by my own friends because I like WWE of all wrestling, but I love WWE, and this shit is just plain terrible. It is like a pimple on the fucking bottom of my ass. It's just awful. It's just plain awful. Raw. SmackDown is okay. SmackDown does its work, and I enjoy SmackDown from time to time. NXT is the only wrestling I watch on a weekly basis, and I love it. I get excited for wrestling, which I have not been in years, to be like, when is it Wednesday for me? Because that's when it airs live, is a Wednesday morning. When is it Wednesday so I can watch NXT? I don't feel that for anything else. Like, I'm generally like, I can't wait to go to sleep tonight so I can wake up and Takeover's on. Like, I just don't care for something that's so bad. And I love that place with all of my heart, and I always will. But I just can't bear to watch it. I have better things to do, like scratch my fucking ass than watch Raw, because holy shit, it's just not very good at the moment. But that's not the talent that I dislike. There's a lot of people on Raw that I love, and I'm like, good for them. But, do your thing. I hate to digress off of NXT onto that, but I just felt like it needed to be said because I have a podcast to unleash this kind of fucking wrath on. So here we are now. Look who's here though, Mr. Conrad. Everything Pro Wrestling. What a dude.
The Trailblazer.
What a guy. Hey, what a guy. Let's talk about the NXT Championship Fatal 5-Way Contest. Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and the NXT champion Karrion Kross with one Miss Scarlet by his side. Whoo! A fatal 5-way. This is going to be, and I mean this in a fucking good way, a mess. But I mean it in a good way. A chaotic mess. This has the chance and the potential to be so fun because it is going to be so fast-paced and just so constant. NXT don't do a lot of these, which we mentioned before. If Queen is still here, Queen, I hope you don't mind me sharing. We were DMing each other last night, my time, and just talking about how NXT really hasn't had. I can't think of a time an NXT title match has been in the main event of a takeover, and it's this many people. Other than a title, an NXT championship match is usually reserved for one-on-one, a triple threat from time to time. But I can't really think. I could be wrong. We both said we could be wrong, but I don't think there's ever been a time where it's been a fatal five-way for the NXT title in the main event of a takeover. And you could really say there's obviously some exceptions, but these are the 5 best in NXT that NXT has to offer right now, and 5 of the very best of all time in NXT when you think about NXT. Let's try and break this down as best we can. Yeah, Conrad, we were saying a little bit before this could be the curveball and everything is the call ups. So, which we're going to probably talk about again in a minute because of just the amount of talent that's in this match and what it could mean. But let's let's do something different here, Mags. I'm going to throw something on you. You're a smart man, so you've heard of the game word. Listen. The compliments are coming in at the moment, so you just need to shut the fuck up and accept them because they probably won't last. I'm going to play a little bit of word association. I'm going to run down the list of the talent in the ring. Give me one word to describe each one of them. Pretty simple? Cool. Johnny Gargano, what's a word you describe with him?
Mr. Takeover.
I mean, that's 2 words technically, but whatever. Break the rules, but it's fine. Pete Dunne.
British.
Great. Karrion Kross.
Raw.
I could take that so many ways, but we're not going to touch on that too much. Kyle O'Reilly.
Jason Mraz.
Holy fuck. Adam Cole.
Baby. I was so helpful there, weren't I?
You know what? I really like that Mag should have really taken up a career as a comedian because holy shit, is he funny.
Wow.
It's interesting here. The 5 men in this ring, like I said, or in this match, I should say, well, they're going to be in a ring, but the 5 men in this are pillars of NXT. They are, when you think of NXT, a lot of these names will come up a lot as they're the greatest of all time in NXT. They're the best of this. They're the best of that. All phenomenal talent. Like just can wrestle circles around a lot of people. We talked about predictability in this takeover card again. Does not mean it's bad. Just means that this is the case for things. Karrion Kross is in a spot at the moment where he can't lose. I understand that he doesn't necessarily have to take the fall in this match because it is fatal 5-way. Don't have to you can lose your championship without being pinned or submitted. But Karrion Kross is in this spot for me where it's just like, I know what you're going to say, Mags. I'm not even looking at you and I know what's going in your brain. He is a Vince McMahon prototype. He is going to the main roster on the 28th of August when this freaking draft goes down. I know that's what you're going to say. And I hear you. I agree with you in every single word. But I would just have to think that there has to be something going on in Triple H's mind or whoever is running NXT that has to go, please don't take him from us right now.
Is there though? Would you say he's over as an NXT champion? I don't believe that he is. I don't believe the fans have really taken to him in NXT.
I do.
You look at the other 4 people in this match. Pete Dunne gets pops. Johnny Gargano, everybody in NXT absolutely adores him, even when he's the dickish heel. Kyle O'Reilly may be the most pure white meat babyface that NXT has got. And Adam Cole, even though he is the consummate dickhead, he's adored. He's absolutely adored. He gets huge pops. Karrion Kross, for me, whilst he's a super talented wrestler, I don't think he's as over as maybe the the company would have liked him to be. And I don't think they kind of know his role as well, because a lot of times he comes across as the heel, but then sometimes he's almost portrayed in a face role. And I don't think there's a lot of confusion there for me with him. And then I'm going to state the obvious. He is what Vince would get a massive boner over. He would absolutely love him. Add to the fact that he's got Scarlett by his side. That's win-win. This is you're looking at the next Miro and Lana for Vince McMahon. He will adore both of these people. With the draft coming up, it's almost tacked on that Karrion Kross is going to go to Raw, SmackDown, but we're still not there yet. And this match seems to me that it's building Karrion Kross as just a monster, where he's taking the 4 best of NXT and just absolutely decimating them. That for me makes sense, but it also then leaves the issue of who is going to beat this guy. If 4 of them can't take him down at once, what wrestler on this NXT roster can stand up to Kross? And for me, there's only one. And we don't see him a lot on NXT, but I see it being Volta that takes the title off him before Karrion Kross goes up to main roster. So, yeah, I've got Karrion Kross winning. It's going to be a clusterfuck of a match. We're going to see amazing spots, but I think we're going to see Karrion Kross eking out a victory, showing his absolute dominance on NXT, and then Big Daddy, final boss Volta, come in and laying the absolute smackdown on him.
All right. Well, I pose this question. Simple answer. Simple answer. If you have Kross winning, who takes the fall? Who eats the submission?
Okay. In this match, it's Johnny Gargano's bulletproof. Could absolutely take the fall. Adam Cole.
No, stop circling. Give me a fucking answer.
I'm going to give you an answer. Adam Cole could take the fall because, again, he can lose match after match after match and still stay relevant. Kyle O'Reilly, I think his character, he needs to stay strong, so I don't think it's going to be him. For me, the weakest on this card, and it's so bad to say that he's the weakest because he's arguably the best technical wrestler in the match. I think Pete Dunne takes the fall.
All right, well, here, I've got 2 things to say. First things first is Queen and I were DMing yesterday about this very match, and she believes that Karrion Kross will win, and she believes that maybe there'll be like a silence almost of nothing. And then in comes Samoa Joe, and we get Joe versus Kross, and Samoa Joe is the one to beat Karrion Kross at whatever takeover or whatever NXT episode you want to present that on, which is great.
Follows exactly the same kind of mindset that I've got. It's just she's substituted Joe for Volta.
Yes, well, both great ideas. And listen, all jokes aside, you do make a very solid point, a very strong point of what happens with Karrion Kross. It all is probably possible, and what we can see here, again, cluster of a match in the best way of possible, lots of spots, lots of all that. I am also going with Karrion Kross. I think he would probably be Gargano that probably takes the fall of submission, which doesn't hurt Gargano at all. I need to talk about Kyle O'Reilly, and this is going to turn the whole chat against me. It's going to turn mags against me. I'm just going to get cancelled. I don't care. I hope Kyle O'Reilly goes to the main roster so I don't have to see him on NXT anymore.
Get fucked.
Because Kyle O'Reilly, phenomenal talent, great in-ring performer. His character is so fucking bad. I can't stand when he talks. I can't stand the way he dresses. I'm like, I want to hit you with a fucking tennis racket. Stop doing that. Stop dressing that way. Stop talking that way. Stop saying you're cool, because it's the least thing from it, and I just can't stand it. And the fashion choices that it's Pride Month. I'm allowed to be gay as all hell right now. I cannot stand a man that can't dress very well, and it doesn't fit him. Kyle, you're an okay looking dude. Dress better. Dress fucking better, and stop talking like that, and stop trying to make everything rhyme. Not everything has to rhyme. Kyle O'Reilly, go to the main roster so I don't have to see you and I can start appreciating you again, because you just pissed me off.
Wow, so you're not a fan of attempted Barker Carl and then
No.
2010 hipster guitarist Carl?
No, I'm not. Kyle O'Reilly, again, great talent. Loved him in the Undisputed Era. Love him in the ring. When he wrestles, I'm all for it. When the man talks, when the man comes out in those ridiculous hats and that ridiculous... I love denim jackets. You've seen me wear a denim jacket. I wear denim on denim. I don't give a fuck. But this man cannot do it. He just can't do it. All right? He can't do it.
Wow.
Man, I had that inside of me for so long.
I hope now he goes further in. I hope he starts wearing like cut off shorts with slip-on shoes with no socks.
I know. Then I would be like, all right, you're speaking more of my language here. You might be able to pull that off, Kyle. The problem is that I don't necessarily hate all of the get-up. It's just on him. It's so bad that I want to vomit all over myself.
It is such a kind of a dichotomy with his wrestling style as well, because he's got this legitimate MMA background wrestling style, and then you see him in his promos and he looks like he's going to be busking outside the CWC. There is like a disconnect there, but Kyle O'Reilly could come out singing nursery rhymes for me, and I would absolutely adore everything he does. So I will
looks like he doesn't.
I will not accept any Kyle O'Reilly slander on your show, Josh.
Kyle.
I will not accept it.
Cool Kyle, like, shut the fuck up. I hope he takes the fall, but he's just not going to, because I don't think he's going away. I don't think he's going to the main roster. I think he's an NXT stay for a little while, because there's a lot more you could probably do with him. Hopefully a character change, and I'll love him again. But yeah, I had that built up inside of me for quite some time as an NXT person that watches NXT. I'm like, damn, I would really like a bit of a podcast appearance right now, because I would go off about Cool Kyle, I should say.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't do any podcasts about current products. I'm well invested in the retro stuff right now.
Why would I come on your show? Absolutely.
For clout, clearly.
True. I do love a bit of clout, as they say. But yeah, Karrion Kross is going to go over here. When he loses it is up for debate, but he's not losing it here. But it's going to be a very fun Fatal 5-Way match. It has, I mean, with the talent inside of it, I don't think it's going to be bad. I just don't think that's going to be possible. But it's going to be a fun NXT show overall. The more I speak about it, the more I'm like, okay, this could actually be quite some time. This could be quite a good takeover. A lot of options of where you can kind of, especially with everything looming, it almost makes it a little bit more exciting, because you're like, oh, what is actually going to happen to NXT? And are we going to see a lot of new talent?
And like you said earlier in the show, sometimes predictability is good, because you have followed a storyline and you like to see where it's going to go. So throwing the spanners in the works and changing things and swerving fans for the sake of it can take you out of that moment. But knowing that there is a to B to C to D style pathway and you're invested in it, it works sometimes.
Yeah. You just reminded me that we would not be able to leave this show without talking about my favorite thing in NXT at the moment, Hit Row. They are so great. They are just money. They're printing it. They are so good. They are so unique. They are so different. They have this unique chemistry with the four of them that just works so well. There's a clear established leader. There's followers. It works so damn good. And I hope NXT takes their time with this to let it build. I hope they don't get taken away to the main roster anytime soon. I'm not saying they won't work on the main roster. I just think it'll be a very rushed experience. They bring a different culture to NXT that NXT just does not have, and it works so well, and their music and everything and Hit Row, it's just so good. I just really, really, as soon as I seen them, I'm like, whether you're like the biggest fan or you're not the biggest fan, I think we can all agree with Hit Row is like, this is going to work. There's no way that this
Hopefully
doesn't
so.
work.
Hopefully so. And again, and I'm going to keep nailing this point home, it's a case of bringing in a talent like they did with Shane Strickland, having him kind of broke down. I mean, again, another wrestler who took 50-50 booking for a long, long while, and then give him a character or let him work on a character, because this feels like something he's come up with. He certainly did. But this feels like a character that he's come up with, that he's fleshed out, and it absolutely works. Swerve Scott now is one of my very favorites in NXT. This Hit Row stable, it feels like a little bit of a dig at AEW with B-Fab being a Jade Cargill style wrestler. But it works. It absolutely works. I am all for these guys being so dominant. These are the new Undisputed Era for me. They're going to be massive.
I get so excited about things like this, and I know I shouldn't, but NXT does have a good track record. NXT does. We want to talk about the other stuff, but NXT does. And I feel like if they just take it slow, let it organically build as great as it is right now, if it just keeps going and going and going, print the money, because I just feel like it's just so different. It's so different to anything within NXT. There's just there's so many ways you can go with Hit Row that it's just so cool. I would love to see that entrance and those four. I wish takeovers were in arenas again. I hope they are soon.
Well, they are with the SummerSlam one.
Is that
being after SummerSlam?
Is that going to be in? Is that going to be in the same? It's obviously not going to be in a stadium.
I mean, I hope it's at least in an arena. There's plenty of arenas around Vegas, so it's doable. I hope it's not a CWC one.
I hope so as well, because as much as the CWC has obviously given us a lot of stuff, there's fans in there. I'm very grateful that we've had something, and it beats having nothing. But I hope they get to arenas again soon, because their reactions that they're going to get from an NXT audience, goosebumps. I can already feel it.
And you can see what you could legitimately see them all in the future, all holding gold at the same time. And it's very rare you get like a mixed gender stable like this. And I think you could easily see Swerve being North American champion, top dollar, and Ashanti being tags, and then B-Fab being the women's champion, and
great
just
names,
dominating. Yeah, absolutely.
What names? Just so good, man. I just genuinely get so happy and excited when I hear that, and I'm just like, yes, this is going to be a lot of fun. Hit Row, great. But I needed to make sure I hammered that one in before we wrap up. We are going to wrap up now, but we've had a great chat. I love doing this. We're going to be back the same time next week, because we're going to be talking Hell in a Cell, which will be a different feel to NXT Takeover, but I don't think WWE pay-per-views are not a problem. They're genuinely quite a good time.
We say that every single month. The weekly show might be gash, but the pay-per-views are usually really, really good quality. So
we will be talking about Hell in a Cell same time next week. I hope you guys can join us. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Let's go and give a little love to see if anyone's on Twitch, and we can go do a little raid skis of someone. You can go give them my love, say that I sent you. They'll love that. Let's see if there's Mr. Reese-Mania himself, the former Reese on Wrestling. He is he's playing some WWF No Mercy. So we'll go and raid Reese. He's a good egg. So let's raid Reese-Mania. What a name, by the way. What a great name. Mr. Reese will go and raid Reese. Go give him my love, all of that kind of good stuff. I'll be back at some point this week for some more streams, but Mags and I will be back together again next week for one Hell in a Cell. So peace out, everyone. Let's go raid Reese. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.